as he was driving his bike. And then he said he was going so fast that he had like some dust behind his legs that he could see. And then 2 coyotes from the side came.
Look out, there's a piece of road in the pothole. And it may not be that bad, but it's getting pretty close.
Bad enough to inspire the owner of this diner to create a pothole burger.
A 1,000-pound butter sculpture is at the center of a new exhibit at Contemporary Calgary. Artist Gazela Avrazamani calls the work Churn, Earn, Burn, and then Return.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
Hey, at Samarin Airport. We made it back yet again for another weekly weird news roundup. Tonight will be our 217th time doing this damn thing. Can you believe we've come this far?
I believe it. It's right in front of our eyes.
And do you know what's special about 217?
Oh, I can't even imagine what is
You'll
so
like this.
special about... Oh, will I? Yeah, I'm going to love it. All right, give it to me.
You got your seatbelt on?
Yeah, and the car is moving quick, so you got about 15 seconds.
217 is the area code for some areas of Illinois, specifically Springfield. And I know you're a fan of The Simpsons. A lot of people think that Springfield in The Simpsons is based on Springfield in Illinois, which has the area code 217. So in a way, tonight, we can tip our hats to the folks in Springfield on the TV show The Simpsons, because that's probably their area code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this numbers thing, so when will you get tired of it?
When you stop bringing it up. You should have just let me say my piece, and we can get into our special drinks and have a nice night.
Okay, let's get into our special drinks. You're going to love mine tonight.
All right, let's build up to it. I went with just a tea.
Oh, okay.
I made it sound like it's nothing big, but a tea has a little bit of caffeine. It's a warm, cozy thing in my hand throughout this night. As the weird news pours upon us, my tea slowly drops to room temperature. So there's this whole kind of routine that happens. I'm excited for my tea. What do you got?
I have water.
Oh my God, we're off to a great start.
I know, we're really crapping the bed here tonight.
Okay, then let's just jump into our next.
Can I still taste it like usual and then
Yeah,
tell you
just
what I
have a
think of
drink. Yeah. At least, is it cold?
It's not cold, but it's not warm. And
okay,
it's tap water.
No ice.
No ice. No, it's too cold.
Okay, go ahead, have a drink and let's...
It's the perfect temperature for water because cold water tightens your vocal cords.
Wow. It's like the kind of water you'd pour in a plant.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Can we move on?
Yeah. Let's move on to our first story of the night. I just want to jump right into it because this is really exciting. There's a weird Canadian news story that played out, I think, only blocks from the home that you grew up in. Did you grow up near the Ultramar on Grand Lake Road in Sydney, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Canada?
Yes, I did. I grew up a stone's throw away from there. And that Ultramar wasn't there while I was growing up. That came later because that would have been really exciting for me as a child to have a store that nearby, because before that Ultramar, there was no convenience store to frequent as a child in that area. So it was there was the motel up the street. Well, this is a highway. When I say street, I mean a 4-lane highway. But there was a motel where they did have vending machines in their laundry room.
Okay.
So we used to go in there, get chips and pop and candy bars, and they had a hot chocolate machine, like a coffee and a hot chocolate machine. So we used to hang out in the laundry room and drink hot chocolate. But then they started to lock the laundry room because we were hanging in there so much. So yeah, anyway, yes, I grew up right next to this place.
Mm-hmm. Well, some weird news played out there over the past several days, and it's very Keep Canada Weird centric. It all starts, for someone who's a news watcher like I am, with a chilling statement the Cape Breton Regional Police released on their Facebook page. It reads, "We are looking for a red Ford Escape that was stolen from a gas station on Grand Lake Road at approximately 4 p.m. The owner's dog was inside the vehicle. The stolen vehicle was last seen traveling in the direction of Sydney. If you see the vehicle or the dog, a golden doodle named Charlie, please contact us immediately." So when a press release like that and a Facebook post like that goes out from a local police force, all hell breaks loose, and that's certainly what happened in Sydney. The theft and the concern for the dog led to a massive social media campaign. Unfortunately, it didn't have to last very long because the very next morning, the story had a happy ending. So let's open up the show tonight, episode 217 of Keep Canada Weird, by hearing the story of Charlie the Golden Doodle's wild night out.
It was a happy reunion this morning as Robert and Ann Stubbart of Gardner Mines were back with their golden doodle Charlie following an awful ordeal.
Went into the store just to get a quart of milk, and when I came out, my dog and my car was gone.
Robert Stubbart said the theft happened at this gas station along Grand Lake Road. He said he called 911 and police showed up and looked at the store's surveillance video, but he quickly feared the worst.
Because I thought they were leaving the island. You know, like they jumped in the car, full tank of gas, and they were gone. I'd never see it again.
We just thought, oh my God, the dog is gone. I don't care about the car. We cared about the dog.
Ann Stubbart, Robert's wife, said after they posted about what happened to social media, they got messages from across the country adding that people, including strangers, were out looking for the dog into the wee hours. She said they were so worried they didn't sleep a wink.
She's not very road smart because she's a home dog. And if they dropped her off somewhere on the highway, we didn't know if she would be run over by a car or animals would have got her.
Shortly after 7 this morning, though, there was a police vehicle in their yard and the wait was over.
They said, we have your dog. And it was just like, my God, we never thought that we'd get her back. We thought we'd never see her again.
The couple adds that in the past 24 hours, they have seen the worst and the best of people, which includes a half dozen police officers who came back this morning to check on Charlie and take a photo to mark the happy ending.
They looked like they loved her just as much as we did. They were so caring. They went above and beyond to get her back, and I am so grateful.
This afternoon, police announced that a 32-year-old woman has been arrested and faces several charges in connection with the case. The vehicle was also recovered by police. Robert Stubbart said that while Charlie is his best friend, one thing will change about their outings going forward.
She will not leave my side again.
Oh, that's so nice. As a lover of dogs myself, that warms my heart. That's a feel-good story to open up the show with. Is that pulling at your heartstrings?
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful story. It's great to see them get reunited with their dog after, I can't imagine the thoughts that would be running through their heads during the period of time when the car was stolen. And then overnight, you know, they don't know until the next morning. So that's hours and hours of horror stories running through your mind and your anxiety, bringing you to these dark places of what trouble is my dog in? Are they hurt? Are they lost? Are they alive? There's all these things that you're thinking about. And I can't imagine that was a restful evening for them. So to wake up and have your dog returned, your best friend, your ride or die, it's just an amazing story. It's a feel-good ending, and it's a great way to start the show. And it's interesting that this happened in this area because knowing the area like I do, that was something that we never heard of happening growing up, and even
stolen cars
up until now. That's the first stolen car that I know of in the area. The police station is nearby. There's a correctional center nearby where somebody like this is probably going.
Everyone would know everyone too. Like, this is not like a major city or anything. You would think the people who use that gas station, it's like it would be all regulars that pop in there.
It's definitely unusual to happen in that spot, I think. And I was surprised when I saw the story come up in my feed, and I was like, wow, like a stolen car, really? So
yeah, stolen car is one thing, but with a dog, and not any dog. This isn't like this little puppy that would have been curled up in the back seat and they didn't notice till they stole the car. A golden doodle's this is a big dog that was in that car. So they stole a car knowing there was a big dog in it. And here's where it gets weirder. That news clip we just listened to, it was really just about the emotional side of the reunion and, how they feel and how worried they were and stuff. I read another report that kind of summarizes the criminal aspect of what happened. And this is a bit of a mystery. Let me read you this. A woman is facing several charges after a vehicle was stolen from the Ultramar on Grand Lake Road in Sydney with the owner's dog still inside. Police were tipped off early Tuesday morning that the vehicle had been seen in Glace Bay. Officers found it parked outside a home on Roost Street with a woman inside who was allegedly violating release conditions. She was arrested and later directed police to another Glace Bay address where the dog was found. Police returned the dog to its owner with a very Canadian stop for Tim Hortons breakfast on the way home. Raylene Mahaney has been charged with possession of property obtained by crime, possession of cocaine, resisting a police officer, and 4 breaches of court-ordered conditions.
Wow.
So what the hell happened?
It sounds like there's a whole other separate story going on in Glace Bay. So for listeners not from the Cape Breton area, Glace Bay is a smaller town that's about a 10 to 15 minute drive from Sydney, from where this happened. So that highway is called the Sydney Glace Bay Highway. So it kind of connects Sydney to Glace Bay. And yeah, a litany of charges for her.
Yeah, I think what must have happened is she needed to get to Glace Bay. She stole this car that the owner probably left running to keep the dog cool. So she probably jumped in the car, drove away with the dog, somehow drops the dog off at one house, which is weird. Who's going to accept, your friend shows up on cocaine, I need you to watch a dog. So that seems to happen. Then she goes somewhere else and gets arrested.
She probably used the dog to pay for the cocaine.
Oh, I wonder.
So she probably showed up to buy cocaine, didn't have the money, and said, well, I just stole this car. Do you want this car? Well, no, I'm not going to take a stolen car. I'm going to get arrested. And then she's like, well, I do have a dog.
I love dogs.
And then the coke dealer's like, yeah, give me the dog.
That could be it. Anyway, it's like you said already, that's a great heartwarming story to open up the show with tonight. Keep Canada Weird 217 is going to be a big one. It's going to be a great one. And after a short break, we're going to get into our first section of stories, and it's going to be, I think, a crowd pleaser. We're going to be revisiting a whole bunch of Keep Canada Weird tropes after this break. We're going to be hearing stories that fall into a lot of the kind of storylines we've been covering. We have stories of holes, of tires, of teens, of animals, even a story about butter. So let's have a quick break, and when we get back, we'll revisit some Keep Canada Weird tropes. Handsome Aaron Airport, I promised you a collection of stories that will develop many of the storylines we follow. I teased holes, tires, teens, animals, and butter thefts, or at least just butter. We have all of it, but let's open the door with a listener voicemail. This voicemail will kind of introduce our first story because we're going to be revisiting a topic we've covered quite a bit, which is holes. Let's open it with a listener-contributed hole story. Rachel, a correspondent, wants to tell us about a hole she fell in.
Okay, I'm a little bit behind, but this is a whole story. So, when I was in college on spring break, doing what college spring break kids do, we decided that night to go on a walk down the beach. There's about 6 of us, arm in arm, walking down the beach in the dark after consuming some alcoholic beverages. And next thing I knew, bam! I was on my face. Somebody had dug a ginormous hole during the day, and I just walked right into it, dragging 2 or 3 other college kids, because again, we were arm in arm, into this hole. And of course, they were all annoyed with me, and I had absolutely no idea it was coming. So I thought I should share this whole story with y'all because it was absolutely hilarious.
She didn't say where she was from, but since she referred to us as y'all, I'm guessing she's south of the border.
Yeah, that would make sense. And certainly I don't recommend drinking and walking. It's a dangerous combination. So maybe that's a good lesson learned here.
Yeah, if the worst thing that happens is you end up in a ginormous hole, you're doing better than
Yeah.
It could have been worse.
Yeah, that's how you find trouble. It's if you're going to drink, you just want to be sitting and laying. That's the best way to drink.
Yeah. I do appreciate a listener contributed hole story. Holes are an unusual trope that Keep Canada Weird has found itself revisiting over and over again. But oddly enough, if you look at Canadian news stories, you find a lot of stories about holes. And when you start talking about them, you realize that listeners of a podcast that covers things like this too have personal stories related to holes. Thank you for opening up this segment, Rachel. Let's move on to a story in the news about holes. On Keep Can... Oh, one sec. A story in the news about holes. This one comes from Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia adds a delicious new entry into our hole archive. Potholes along Highway 101 have gotten so bad that a local diner turned road conditions into a limited time burger. Let's hear about Nova Scotia's Highway of Holes.
This is Highway 101. It runs the length of the Annapolis Valley. Motorists often drive below the speed limit, not out of fear for fines, but for potholes.
I have to dodge. Like the police probably think I'm drunk going down the road. It's terrible.
If you're driving along and if you're not paying attention, you could leave half of your vehicle in one pothole and then finish off your other part of your vehicle in another pothole.
Potholes are a known problem in the bigger cities. But along with Highway 101, towns just off it are every bit as bad.
My truck's a 2021 and drove it across Canada, no problems. Been here for 2 years and now it's just falling apart.
This is Main Street in Middleton, Nova Scotia, covered in potholes. One comment a lot of people in this area mentioned to me is that their side streets are actually better to drive than their main streets and highways. That's not saying much given how many potholes are actually here.
In the last 20 years, they've been deteriorating more and more with the heaving and frosting and the cost of keeping the roads up.
Look out, there's a piece of road in the pothole. And it may not be that bad, but it's getting pretty close.
Bad enough to inspire the owner of this diner to create a pothole burger.
Made with a hole in the top bun, and then it is poorly patched with pulled pork.
It became their most popular burger, a bright spot in a dark subject.
I don't know why the roads are so bad here or why we can't seem to fix them in a more permanent manner when other places can.
The worry in these rural communities where everyone drives isn't just the damage to the vehicles, but the risk to lives.
You think that's a slow news day story?
Yeah, it is a slow news day story because those roads that they were showing in the news broadcast was like exactly like all the roads here in Cape Breton.
Yeah.
Completely littered with potholes.
Yeah, they did. And no one really had a great story. It was all just kind of like generic complaining about the state of the roads. Like we've had hole stories where people fell in holes and had to be rescued and they were going to court about it and everything. This is like a major hole story with multiple contributors. And all they could really do was just kind of make little jokes about the holes.
Yeah, the holes are bad. Yeah, lots of potholes. Oh, real bad. And then
one guy said it's been getting worse over the last 15, 20 years. It's like everybody says that about everything. Then the other, it actually was the news broadcaster said, potholes aren't only a problem in major cities. They happen, in smaller towns too. But I find you hear the opposite. Usually you hear people be like, the city got all the money and they got the nice roads. Here in our small town, we got to drive four-wheel drive trucks to even get through these potholes. So I feel like there was a bit of, storytelling in that story. I don't think that was a good whole story.
No, it wasn't. I was expecting something very extreme. And again, I go back to the images from the news broadcast. It's like, it just looked like roads to me. It didn't look like there were some potholes in them, but it wasn't like any of them were extremely huge. They just looked like your run-of-the-mill after winter, after everything is melted kind of potholes.
I'm underwhelmed by that. Maybe we should move on to something way more exciting.
Yeah, there's a hole in that story, and it's the story itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hardly even a story. It's just like a light brush across a topic. There wasn't even a good story there.
Well, the burger thing is kind of interesting, I guess. That'd be the most interesting aspect of the story, is that they put a hole in the top of the bun and then put some pulled pork in there, and it became popular in that town, but it's not like it's popular anywhere else. It's just, I don't know. I mean, we would need to try the burger. Maybe it's so delicious that the story really ignites after that.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? The roads do suck around here. And then you just start talking to people. You all go out and you contact the news. Let's move on to a story that I know you're going to love, and it's going to make up for the underwhelming whole story. On Keep Canada Weird, two of the most often discussed topics we have here are teenagers and animals. But usually we cover them as two separate categories. But this week in an Orleans, Ontario park, these two topics merged. This is the story of the BMX riding teen who brawled it out with a pack of coyotes. This is a wild one. Buckle up your seatbelt again, Handsome Marin Airport.
Oh, yeah, it's buckled. Yeah, go ahead.
A coyote roaming a park in Orleans Saturday afternoon, just days after a 14-year-old was attacked.
He said, you have to pick me up. I was attacked. And he says, my leg, it's hurting.
CTV News has agreed not to identify the boy's mother, who says her son was ambushed by 3 coyotes while riding his bike along a path in the Lalonde Conservation Area around 8 o'clock Thursday night.
Coyote at the top here that just started charging at him as he was driving his bike. And then he said he was going so fast that he had like some dust behind his legs that he could see. And then 2 coyotes from the side came.
She says he threw his bike at the larger coyote to escape.
And then he took his helmet and he threw it at the smaller one, trying to get him to dislodge from his foot. But they were still going at him. So then at that point, he started to physically try, like with his hands, either by hitting and punching.
He managed to free himself. After attempts to retrieve his bike, the animals continued to howl, growl, and bark. So he escaped by sprinting in the opposite direction.
It was worrisome because, and he is a 14-year-old boy. He is 5'9", 5'10", on an adult-sized bike, and they still went at him.
Officials say coyote attacks are extremely rare. The city says it confirms it's aware of the situation and has been monitoring a coyote den in the area. Over the past few weeks, warning signs have been put up, and the city has asked residents to stay away.
What a harrowing tale. I have so much to say about that one, but I know you do too. Just unload. What did you think of this story?
Well, you and I, for maybe about 15 seconds, briefly talked about this story right before we went to record, and we had to pull ourselves back and say, save it for the show. Because you and I both know the real story here is not the coyote attack. The real story is, why did the mother want to conceal her identity?
Yeah, it's unusual. Usually when someone conceals their identity like that, they don't want to say who they are. The camera, instead of pointed at their face, is pointed at their feet or something like that. Usually that's done because they're worried about, the criminals coming back and getting revenge for them going public. In this case, it just seems inappropriate, unless, of course, they're worried about the coyotes getting revenge for going on the news and telling the tale.
It sounds to me like there's a whole other story in the background here, unrelated to coyotes. And the woman is like, I'll tell you the coyote story, but I don't want you to show my face or use my name because I got this whole other thing going on in my life. And me being on the news will complicate it.
I think she's trying to protect the identity of her superhero son. I would be so upset with my mom if I had lived through this epic tale and she went on the news and downplayed it like that. Because again, just to recap the story, the kid's on his bike driving through a park alone. A bunch of coyotes come out. He's only 14, but he's 5'9", so he's like a really big kid. Bombing through the park, all these coyotes come. And the way she tells it is so underwhelming. But he's going so fast that he's leaving a trail of dust behind him. But the coyotes still manage to get at him. So he gets off his bike and he beats one coyote with his bike, beats another coyote with his helmet. When the coyotes continue to come, he then puts his dukes up, and it seems like he gets in a brawl with a pack of coyotes and wins, and then outruns them, getting away. Which is an epic tale. If you're 14, when you show up at school the next day, and I would have a crowd around me and I'd be like on a podium telling everyone about the heroic, epic things I've done. And then I'd be delivering autographs. But his mom goes on the news and gives the most underwhelming version of that story.
Yeah, it's strange. There's not an evident explanation as to why both of their identities were concealed. And I really do think it's something else going on in their lives where we don't want to be on TV. We don't want people knowing where we live. And yeah, I think that there's a whole other...
Like someone should look into these people?
Well, it seems like this 14-year-old boy can really defend himself. So it seems like he probably has come from a life and a background of having to scrap and fight for things or having to defend himself all of the time. So it seems like he really knows how to do it. And so I think there's a whole long story of some kind of a circumstance that has led them to be hiding in this town, trying to escape something and not being able to show themselves on TV to talk about the coyote story.
And he got bit by the coyote as well. In the news clip, it showed some of his wounds. Of course, it didn't show the kid. It just showed his leg all bandaged up. So he did, like, the coyotes did put up a fight, but no question, this kid kicked the crap out of a pack of coyotes and managed to escape. It's a shame that he doesn't get to wear this tail like a trophy. Well, because I think it is quite epic.
See, everybody in the town is going to know it's him. So he's not hiding anything from the people directly in his life, because he's got the wound. He probably has his leg bandaged up. He probably, he went to the hospital. Like it's going to be known in a small town like that.
This is a small town news report, though. Like, this wasn't like national CBC news or anything.
Yeah, but these things make their way out. So I think whoever they're hiding from or trying to conceal their identities from is not in this town.
Okay.
And another thing that we need to talk about is that there were signs up in that area to avoid the area because of coyotes. And this delinquent refused to obey the signs.
And said, like, what are the coyotes going to do to me? You don't even know what I've been through.
Yeah.
This is like 11 from Stranger Things on a bike.
So this 14-year-old boy was already not afraid of coyotes because it was well known through word of mouth in the town and also through government signage that this is a dangerous area. Coyote dens, avoid this area. This child speeding recklessly, more than likely, on his bike through the area, disregarding all safety protocols. And I'm surprised he was wearing a helmet.
Yeah, I think they're going to need to put some signs up about this kid in the neighborhood, because I think he's the wrong one to mess with. Is 5'9", is that not big for like a 14-year-old?
Well, yeah, I'd say it is.
I don't know if I think I'm about 5'9". So he's like the size of like a grown man for the most part.
I don't know if I'd peg you at 5'9". I'd put you more in the 5'8" category.
Really?
Yeah.
Which makes this kid even more manly.
Yeah. He's a beast in our world.
Let's move on to our final story in this segment. And I told you we're revisiting all the Keep Canada Weird tropes. Something we cover a lot is high-profile butter thefts that have taken place across this country. There's an interesting news story that popped up, and I can't help to highlight this. When I play it, you'll know why, but let's just say that there's an artist in Calgary that's unveiling their latest piece of work. It's a statue of a cowboy, and I think anyone following the unfolding story of butter being stolen in Canada is going to take special interest in this art installation.
A 1,000-pound butter sculpture is at the center of a new exhibit at Contemporary Calgary. Artist Gazela Avrazamani calls the work Churn, Earn, Burn, and then Return. It's the feature of a large Monopoly board. Contemporary Calgary is launching 3 new solo exhibits today examining systems of power.
When you enter this space, it's a very colorful, happy exhibition. Whereas when you start reading the text, when you start getting to know more about the exhibition, you start understanding it's not as fun as that we talk. It's a bit bitter and dark. It's talking and touching the darkest aspects of our lives, probably.
To celebrate the launch, admission into Contemporary Calgary is free tonight until 9 p.m.
Art is so weird.
Intentionally, I believe. Yes.
Her explanation for it, that was just like, it sounded so grandiose, but it's like, but it's a statue of a cowboy made of butter, man.
I have a lot to say about this story.
Okay, let her rip.
So obviously, first things first, we know who stole the butter.
And there's a bit of like a weirdness. I read two separate articles about this. One referred to it, I think it was a CTV article, referred to it as a 1,000 pound of butter statue. CBC did a piece on it that very clearly refers to it as a 500-pound butter statue. So they can't even settle on how much butter was actually used in this. They did give the source of the butter. It came from like some local place. I think it was like some farm or something. But either way, that's a lot of butter. Butter goes for about $5 to $10 a pound. So we're talking like a $5,000 to $10,000 statue here.
Yeah, and here's the darkest part of it, I think. So we're in a time of great inflation, cost of living has skyrocketed, and people around the world are struggling to make ends meet and to be able to afford just bare necessities, which includes butter. So this artist makes a sculpture with somewhere between 500 to 1,000 pounds of butter. And then I watched the news article or the news clip, and I was like, that's a lot of butter. What are they going to do with it after the art installation is, finished? And she says, plain as day in the article, that they're just going to let it sit there and rot and disintegrate to represent what happens to great power as it crumbles and decays.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, so you're going to completely waste arguably 1,000 pounds of butter when so many people are struggling right now to afford butter?
Could you not have done the same thing with, I don't know, any other food, really? Like you could just make it with toast, a statue of toast.
No food. Like why waste food when what you could do is make it out of some kind of a material and then like have people go in and chip away at it or something, like degrade it yourself, like over time, like
Drake's ice castle. They could have made it out of ice and then put the temperature at the room at like 1 degree, so it's just above melting.
No. That's water. You're wasting water. Make it a more eco-friendly art installation, because I think art should be eco-friendly, and I think especially when you have the message that she's trying to portray here, almost talking about the corruption of power and how it leads to the worst in humanity, which was what I was getting from what she was saying.
And the corruption of power. The powerful and the rich could afford all this butter.
Yeah, it sounds like she's rich. It sounds like she has a problem with the game Monopoly too. Like she's using the game of Monopoly and almost making it sound like Monopoly is this bad thing. Like I love the game of Monopoly and I don't like this woman.
It's the game Monopoly goes on too long. I often like it at the beginning, and then I'm just like, there's 4 people playing, 2 of them are out, and now it's just these other 2 going. It goes forever.
You're wrong, because if you play by the actual written rules and you don't add in any house rules, you don't put your money in the middle and get it when you land on all of that house rules and stuff that people have made up over time, that delays the game. It lengthens it. But if you play by the actual rules that are written in the rule book, then your game's an hour.
Okay.
Tops.
Interesting. And I think actually this may serve as a great segue for our next story, because after our next break, we're going to hear a story about someone who maybe didn't play by the rules in the most high-profile, salacious, shocking, and probably dangerous way. I think we should take a break and get into the Air Canada pilot that maybe has been faking it for the last 15 years.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. Let's do it.
Handsome Aaron Airport. This is a weird one. A former Air Canada captain has been arrested after police say he spent years flying passengers without a license. Let's just hear the news clip and I guess be thankful that we were not on a plane that crashed, because this guy very well could have flown with us in that plane. Here comes the story of the Air Canada pilot accused of faking it for the last 15 years.
A senior and apparently qualified Air Canada captain who they allege used fraud and forgery to make it appear that he had a license to fly passengers when he didn't.
This investigation and the details surrounding it read like a movie script.
It's a story of a senior Air Canada captain who police say wasn't licensed to fly some of the biggest aircraft in the company's fleet. 59-year-old Jeff Wall was arrested and faces 7 criminal charges.
And we are alleging that since 2009 has been flying for years, misrepresenting himself and his credentials to his employer and regulatory officials.
Wall had a 27-year career with the airline. He retired last year after Transport Canada noticed something wrong with his pilot's license and later called police.
Anomalies were detected within the pilot license documentation he presented.
Air transport pilots are required to have a specific license to carry passengers. Police say Wall didn't have that license when he became captain.
He captained aircraft including the Boeing 767, 787, and 777.
Fraud undermines trust, damages institutions, and can have serious impacts on people's lives and livelihoods.
In a written statement about what happened, Air Canada said safety was not compromised by the incident because all pilots at Air Canada undergo mandatory recurrent training every 6 months to validate their flying competency. But police take a different view.
Licensing requirements, they exist for a reason. They exist to keep people safe. And when we breach those, not only when we breach them, but when we misrepresent the qualifications that we have, to me, that's a safety issue.
Besides his work as an Air Canada captain, Wall taught at Georgian College in Barrie and had been an executive member of Air Canada's pilots union. Now, police say Wall flew 900 flights as captain, both domestically and internationally, and earned $2.9 million in that role as captain. As for how he was able to pull this off and why he didn't have a license in the first place, police say that's all going to come out in court. He has a court appearance later this month.
This one is just bonkers. There's certainly more to this, but this guy, I said at the beginning, I said for 15 years. It sounds like it's been for about 17 years. This guy's been flying without the appropriate license, but not only, or allegedly without the appropriate license, but not only is he not, has he been flying, he's like a senior guy. He's been teaching flying stuff at some university. He's been like a leader in the union for pilots. Like this all didn't surface because he, they went and checked his license and he didn't have it or something. They describe it as being like something out of a movie, an elaborate fraud, but they didn't really give us any details of what actually he did.
Yeah, this is going to be a story we're going to have to follow over the months and months of getting updates on this thing, because these details are going to come out in court, they said. And so we'll be able to get those details as they arrive. And in terms of learning why, because it sounds like he is licensed, he just wasn't licensed specifically for the aircraft that he was flying.
Yeah, and they refer to him as a qualified pilot. Air Canada, it's not that they're standing behind him, but Air Canada released a statement saying there was never like a security or a safety risk. He just didn't have the appropriate license, allegedly, but he's a qualified pilot. He's been making good money. It sounds like he's made about $3 million in this 17-year period. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I mean, if somebody told me, hey, I've been flying these things for 30 years, you're going to be fine, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, but there's a reason they have these licenses and triple, double check safety stuff, especially when you have a plane full of, a couple hundred people, 1,000 feet up in the sky. You want everything done right. If I was on one of these planes, I'd be pretty upset to know that this guy didn't have the appropriate license. But then again, I've worked in a lot of jobs where you need licenses and stuff, and it's often just this crappy test you got to take that doesn't really have any relevance to what you're doing. I worked in insurance for years, and there was often like these weird little tests and qualifications that as you're studying and preparing for it, I'm like, oh, this has nothing to do with what work I actually do, but I can't do my work without this. I wonder if it was one of those sorts of things.
Yeah, I'm super curious because you and I, we're not pilots. We're not even close to being pilots.
I'm afraid of heights.
Yeah, me too. So we know nothing about this industry, and we can't speak to maybe the red tape that possibly would have been in his way to get the additional licenses that he needed. Maybe it was a financial thing. Maybe it cost money. Maybe he put it off. I don't know. Who knows? It's going to be.
Maybe he just felt like without knowing the details, I'll be surprised if it isn't a feeling of like, I shouldn't have to do this sort of thing.
I can't wait to hear the reasons. And I'm keeping an open mind about this guy. I'm not coming down on him, judging him right now. I want to hear the full story. I want to know his side of it. And then as we get updates to this thing, we'll cast our judgment then.
Okay. I wonder if we will get updates. Like what we do know is he's flown over 1,000 flights, over 100,000 passengers, and he didn't crash a plane. So I give him a gold star for that. But as far as getting into court and finding out what had happened, why would it even be like a big court case? He's retired, so he's not flying anymore. So they can't get him for that. I guess he would just get a conviction for some kind of the aviation law that we don't know anything about. Like, why are they even bothering with this now?
I don't know. It's strange. I thought that was unusual that it came out after he retired. So,
well, it seems like it's connected. Maybe they were getting close to him, and he's like, "Oh my God,
I need to retire right now."
Yeah, I'm going to get fired if I don't retire. You can't fire me. I quit. Retire.
But if there was suspicion about him before, while he was working, and someone was like, "I kind of think that he doesn't have his license," wouldn't you just ask to see it?
Yeah, well, maybe that's the issue. He's like, "Yeah, I got it right here." And it's like it's something he printed, like there was some investigation into his background. Again, they call it Project Icarus. So there was like a police task force assigned with figuring out this guy's license. So I guess if I was to give advice to like the aviation authorities, I'd be like, don't make it this complicated thing about whether or not your license is good. So complicated that you need to have like a police task force. There's some kind of bureaucratic nonsense that allowed this guy to either get away with it for that long or it to be uncertain if he's breaking rules.
Yeah, which leads us to probably the reason why he didn't get it to begin with is because the process was probably way too complicated, way too annoying. And he's just like, I know how to fly these things in my sleep. I don't need to go and get your dumb license.
Yeah, I guess we'll see where this story goes. But I don't know if we'll get an update. I think the damage is done. Having Air Canada in the headline, pilot unlicensed, everybody's clicked it and talked about it. Anything else that happens in this story, I don't know if news watchers are going to find out about it. If there are updates, we'll share them here on Keep Canada Weird. But let's start wrapping this up. And I want to do it with by sending a thank you to correspondents of the show. Something that sometimes is unwelcome is unsolicited pet advice. Do you ever get advice about like caring for Ken Tiggs? Or as a parent, I get parenting advice sometimes that's unsolicited and it sometimes offends me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you mean. I don't quite get, in my close circle anyway, I'm the one being asked for cat advice. And I don't have children, so but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, just like unsolicited advice is not always appreciated. And I have kind of two pieces of unsolicited advice I received about my sweet girl Penny that have been like lifesavers. And it both came from listeners of the show, correspondents of the show, such that I want to give a special shout out now because it's, I talk about my sweet girl Penny on occasion. And just little things I say in passing often lead to correspondents who know way more about dogs than I do, lead them to send me unsolicited advice about caring for Penny that kind of saves her. But it happened again from our last episode. Somehow in episode 216, I brought up my love for oil diffusers. I don't like burning candles in my house because sometimes it screws with my allergies and stuff. I use the essential oil diffusers. My favorite oil is cinnamon. And I talked about it on that last episode. I got this voicemail and it really opened my eyes, and it's going to lead me to thank the sender of this voicemail, who is anonymous. Listen to this.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. I love the show. I just wanted to mention in yesterday's episode, Jordan was saying that he loves to diffuse cinnamon to make his home smell nice, I guess. But weird fact, cinnamon is actually pretty toxic to puppies. They can't process all the oils in their little livers. So just wanted to say maybe he should rethink that. But I do love the show. So keep Canada weird, but keep our pets healthy. Bye.
I never would have thought that it could mess with my sweet girl. But Penny, her eyes, she had this thing where like she would get in the mornings, like kind of liquidy eye stuff going on. I'll spare you the details. When I Googled like, is cinnamon oil in a diffuser dangerous to dogs? I found out, yes, it is. It's toxic to dogs. It can screw with their allergies. And one of the main things it'll do is cause their eyes to water too much. Wow. I stopped using the cinnamon oil, and like overnight, her eyes cleared up.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So whoever sent that, I usually don't love unsolicited pet advice. I never would have thought to Google that, but turns out there are certain oils that are recommended for putting in a diffuser for dogs, and I'm going to be switching to, I think cedarwood will be the new scent I choose.
Yeah, it's the same for cats as well. Maybe not specifically with cinnamon, but a lot of the a lot of candles actually, and different like things that you burn to make your house smell nice are toxic for animals. And
yeah, I never would have thought of this. Penny is my first pet, my first dog, so I'm learning a lot. I never would have thought of the laser pointer thing. Certainly would not have thought about cinnamon oil being a problem. But yeah, I guess it makes sense because especially, with a cat's one thing, but with a dog, their sense of smell is so intense that I'm not surprised that could screw with them.
I noticed that you often say, well, it's more with dogs because dogs this, and this, but not cats, really. And I notice you say that quite a bit. You mentioned it with the laser because dogs like to hunt, right? It's like, well, so do cats. And I can
not as well.
What? A cat is a much more effective hunter than a dog.
Why is it that a laser pointer will break the brain of a dog and not a cat? Cats, you can have them just chasing the pointer. It's fun. Everyone laughs at it. No. You do it to a dog and it can cause like neurological damage.
My cat does not like the laser pointer. He gets frustrated with it because he can't catch it. There's nothing physical for him to catch. So he takes one or two swipes at it and then he's like, I'm not interested. I don't want anything to do with it.
Okay. Well, both of our pets, we don't need to go down this road again. We've covered a lot of tropes tonight. Let's not revisit cats versus dogs, specifically Ken Tiggs and Aaron versus Penny and Jordan. It's a tie. We've been down this road.
Yeah, and I'm happy with it being a tie. It's just every now and then your language suggests otherwise, that you're considering that maybe it's not a tie.
I think they're called microaggressions. I think I'm displaying microaggressions towards Ken Tiggs.
And I wasn't going to mention it earlier, but then when you just mentioned this, I was like, you know what? I need to say something because you've been kind of quietly crapping on cats here tonight. So
I'm sure there's a lot of cat people out there that appreciate you standing up for cats and taking a swing back at me. It's only fair. I think we've got through a lot tonight. We revisited a lot of Keep Canada Weird tropes. I think 217 was a good one, Aaron.
yeah, it was good. It was good. We had a lot of holes and a lot of excitement.
Let's put a bow on it. Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan, bus stop, backhoe, numbers Bonaparte. Until next time.
I want to end not with a message for you, but for a message for the listeners of Keep Canada Weird. If you have a better idea for a statue than butter, something that will decay and slowly wear away to make it this temporary special art piece, let us know by going to thecanadiangothic.com/contact. I said toast. I thought that could be cool because it'd get moldy and everything else. Maybe mice and rats could come in and slowly eat it and the piece would wear away. But I'm sure the correspondents have a better idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas that will be better than toast for sure. Toast. I don't know, man. That's a stretch. But anyway, at this stage in the game, no idea is a bad idea. So, and Jordan, until next time, steal a car, shame on you. Steal a car with a dog, shame on you. You know what? This was better in my head, and then now it's crumbling like the way a butter statue would. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. Now, if any one of you listening want to get more involved in what we're doing, we need all the correspondence we can get. So if something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, let us thank a few people. First of all, Aaron and I want to give a big thank you to all the correspondents who contributed to this episode. If your voice message was aired on the show, go back to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and fill out the form to claim your swag pack and Keep Canada Weird badge. We'll happily get it right out to you. Next, a big shout out to Unicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, we have a massive thank you to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this work would be impossible. And for any one of you out there who want to support the show financially and get more out of the show at the same time, please consider the premium feed. A premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of Keep Canada Weird episodes and bonuses. You can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by simply sharing episodes on social media. That's free, and it's a big help. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and please keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.